So another model that we use while looking at change in organizations, we follow the model created on organization change by Ken Wilber. So let me explain the model. Yeah. In one row, if we place individual, and the other row, let's place team. Ken Wilber's argument is that if you want to do organizational change, one has to focus on both these roles. Individuals have to shift and the teams have to shift. On the other axis, let's create two columns. Tangible in one column and intangible in another column. Again, argument being both these need to be focused on. You can't only shift tangible elements, you also have to shift intangible elements. Now if you look at the bottom corner, bottom left quadrant, it's individual tangible, that's the skill part of it. The bottom right corner, that's your mindset. Only skill doesn't work, mindset have to shift. But Ken Wilber suggests that for organizations to be successful in change efforts, even the team needs to shift. So now the top left quadrant, which is the team tangible, that's the system process. What are you incentivizing? What are you looking at? What are you measuring? Unless you measure the right things, change is not going to be sustained. And the top right corner, which is the team intangible, that's the culture. Unless one is able to identify what is the existing culture and what should be the new culture we should go towards, change efforts are not successful. Now let's look at an example. In Indian pharma industry, there have been some practices that are used while dealing with doctors, which necessarily are not the practices that are allowed. One of the multinational organization which has been operating in India for a long time, they wanted to shift from these not ethical ways of selling to very ethical, scientific way of selling, and we were approached. So we looked at this situation from 4 quadrants, and our argument with the client was, unless we impact all the 4 areas, the change that you are attempting will not be sustained. So at a skill level, how do you interact with a doctor where having the required skill to do that selling? On the mindset front, most of these pharma executives were used to a certain way of selling. Their mindset was that doctors in India do not value this value-based selling. Think about that. If that's the mindset that people have, do you think success around scientific selling will ever get realized? So we had to, through our program at individuals levels, people who participated, we had to work with both. We had to work with the skills, we also had to work with the mindsets. But just doing it with individuals, not enough. That does not sustain the change effort at an organizational level. You have to do the team thing. So let's look at team systems and processes. So when it comes to scientific selling, question to ask is, when a sales executive goes to a doctor, what are we measuring? What do we measure as factors of success? Somehow the organization had incentive structures earlier which indicated that by hook or by crook, make a sale, we don't care how. If you incentivize that behavior, people are likely to demonstrate that behavior. But if you want the same set of people to do value selling, one needs to be able to measure what value did you add through your visit to the doctor and incentivize that. And the last, which is team intangible, which is the whole cultural element. Question to ask is, who are the heroes in this organization? In the old paradigm, people who would do sale, doesn't matter how, the people who do big sale, that's what gets incentivized. Those were the heroes. People who know more about the scientific details, they were not the celebrated guys. So the organization had to do this shift in the culture as well, which is to redefine who are some of our heroes. People who went to the depth of understanding science, people who went to the depth of how do you do this selling thing with the doctor. Internationally, what are some practices that are happening? These behaviors had to be appreciated. So when we engage with this client, we work with the individual, the skill and the mindset, and we partnered with the organization to do some shifts in their systems and process as well as culture. We worked with this organization for approximately 5 to 6 months time. The fear they had was that when we shift from the old way of selling to scientific way of selling, your volumes are going to dip suddenly by 50%. Yeah, and the target given to us was that we need to be sustaining beyond 90%. They acknowledge that in the short run the volumes will go down, but we don't want to go below 90%. Working with all these 4 quadrants with the organization, we were very happy. Out of the 6 divisions, all the divisions we were able to maintain beyond 90%. There were, I think, 2 or 3 divisions with whom actually there was no dip in volume. They in fact marginally increased their volume because we worked on all the 4 quadrants. So that's one of our philosophical model for any change initiative to be successful. Just doing skills and mindset is not enough. We also need to do system and culture. And that's how we work with various clients who ask us to make organizational change.